2 handshakes for me in a day is too much. Hey, Ankle. Hey, I didn't shake your hand, that's Sprite. Congratulations.
Coach, this is the group that did the second on World War II.
Girl, I mean, how did they get the information on World War II?
You mean the interviews? Or the...
No, didn't I see the little segments of
They
the
researched
movie?
it. They researched it, went out and shot all the footage was there was shot by students. They did all the research, did all the video recording, put it all together.
Is this the same group that had the planes that's in the park?
That's B Block. That's
Oh,
what we
that's the
talked to
one I was talking
yesterday.
to. Oh, okay.
These were the ones that had a man, his grandpa singing. He served in
Oh,
the
yeah,
Pacific.
okay.
And then the clip of he's a gentleman with the oxygen on. He's on the USS Saratoga and his hand off for a moment.
Man, you all look real happy. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for such a wonderful program that you put on for veterans the other night. In fact, this is the first program to show recognition for veterans that I've ever been involved with. I completed my tour in Vietnam in 1966. I have been involved with a lot of groups throughout the state of California, all the way to Oklahoma and Texas, and up into Washington. But the program you all put on Wednesday night was the first program that I have ever witnessed in my life to show a high school group, or just a high school in general, showing recognition towards veterans who have served and made sacrifices appropriate to keep the nation or the country alive. Even though a lot of us lost our lives in bringing you the freedom and opportunity to be where you are. And I say to be where you are, in other words, your parents had to reap the benefits that we provided through the war days in order that they may have you as offspring and you be here for you. Now that's a big accomplishment. And that's something that if you know it, you should treasure all your life. Because just remember, when you finish the educational process and you get married and you have children, you're going to have to pass it on. Because that's what life is all about. And as I mentioned the other day, which I didn't mention this morning to that class, I remember reading in the history book. Well, first of all, this history, is this world history?
United States.
Oh, United States history. Okay. I remember reading in the history book that George Washington said that the tree of liberty has to be irrigated from time to time with blood. And you know, that stuck in my mind for a long time because I truly didn't capture the meaning. Not the way apparently that President Washington wanted me to capture. So there's a lot about the country we have to learn about. And as we learn about what has happened in the history of the land in which we live, you know, we have to live it. And live it means that through the sacrifices that I made and many others, you are living it today. And that's what life is all about. I like the title that you selected. What was it?
Say it backwards.
Were you the, no? Oh. You look like you look like that, the gun barrier, you know? they really shook me up because it's the right face and both of them turned and kissed each other. That's neat. But the title that you selected, it was so appropriate. Now, first of all, based on what I've said, I know some of you have some questions you'd like to ask, like, who am I? And where did I come from? Maybe, what do you like in life? You like donuts? Do you have no questions right now? Oh, yes. Did you have a question, or are you just petting your Sprite? Okay, first of all, I served 22 and a half years. Question. I served 22 and a half years in the military. Currently, I'm retired. I have 3 retirements. Most work that I do right now is done to benefit Lancaster High School. I used to be a full-time worker. I was an athletic director for Desert High School at Edwards Air Force Base for like 12 years. I coached against Coach Bryant when she was in high school at AD. She had the same name as mine. I'm Love and her name is Love. So everybody used to say, "Oh, is she your daughter?" Now, you stop and think for a moment. You know? You look at Coach Bryant and then you look at me. Now, first of all, you wouldn't even think to ask me if she was my daughter. Because you can tell the texture of our skin is different, you know. So right away you say, "No, she's not my daughter." Oh, are you guys related? You know. So anyway, I coached against Coach Bryant when she was in high school. I knew her when she went on into college, and I stayed in touch with her. Coach Bryant's husband right now, most of you have seen him, Mr. Bryant. He and my youngest son attended AV High School together. So, even though I arrived here in the desert in 1973, I know a lot of people because of the type of person I am. I know a lot of people. I joke and I laugh with most of you. I mean, who can forget Taylor? You know? Who can forget Tony? I mean, I've had a lot of Taylors and Tonys in my life. And a lot of them come back to see me. And most of them are working, and I go and see them. For example, most of you know Coach Brown, right? Travis Brown? Coached the varsity boys basketball. I coached him in high school. He played baseball, football, and basketball for me in high school. So I talked to him the same way I talk to you. Go on and get it. Set goals, achieve them. Well, anyway, I spent 22 and a half years in the military, and I retired. I was always like a troubleshooter for the military because of my training, because of my way of doing things, or doing the things that I could do that others liked. I always moved up in the world. And as I moved up in the world, I never took for granted, you know, that anyone on the face of the earth owed me anything. Didn't I see you yesterday? Huh?
Yeah.
And you? No?
I don't think so.
Oh, I saw you at the program then. I'm sorry. Okay? So, but I never took life for granted in such a manner that I used it as a selfish thing. And being a non-commissioned officer in the Air Force, I used to think it was a good thing to get off of work after a hard day, whatever that meant, a hard day of work, and go to the NCO club and maybe down a couple of cold beers. And I had to do a couple or three, Taylor, before I could even speak. You know, now I'm ready to talk, you know. But I thought that was the way to go. I thought that was the way of life. Until one day, someone told me, said, you know what, in order to be successful in life, you got to do certain things. And I want to know, what was it? What do I have to do? At the time, I gambled. I don't like to say this. In fact, I haven't told you the first group I told this to. I used to love to gamble. I mean, not $2 or $3. I mean, hundreds and thousands. Every time I got my military check, I used to go by the group, gambling group. And I'd probably gamble away like $400 or $500. And sometimes I'd leave and I'd go home and I'd be short $400 or $500. Well, it doesn't take long for a wife to notice that. You know, you're not bringing home all the goodies. What's going on? And then there are times I'd go home and I'd have $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 in my pocket, in addition to what was mine. So I used to buy things. I mean, Tony, I used to wear $100 shoes, $300 suits. You know, and being in Oklahoma City, you might come up with any kind of scheme. So then one day after gambling, I went home and my wife was all packed, ready. You know, it's goodbye, fella. Because I'm sick and tired of the way that you call living. And you know what? That added some light to my soul. Man, no, wait a minute. You know, I am not losing my wife and I'm not losing my kids. So what do you have to do? You have to change some habits. So I changed habits in order that I may have a successful and fruitful life as a family. Me and my wife, we met, well, I shouldn't say we met. We were boyfriend, girlfriend, or sweethearts in junior high school. Now, I know that's a no-no with most of you. But we met in junior high school. And we stayed together all the way through junior high school, high school. At the completion of high school, she selected to go to college, and I went in the military. As soon as she graduated from college, then we got married. Because our parents wouldn't let us get married any sooner. But we got to make sure that we marry on the time scale that our parents had said. I don't know if, you know, some of you, all y'all parents will tell you, no, you can't get married. You know. But really, parents should be involved in your life. A parent is never a parent that's not involved with your life. I mean, when you bring children into the world, you stay with them until they grow beards like mine. Until they get to be 67 years of age and beyond. They're always my kids. They're always my children. So I'm going to love them with the same love that I had that brought them into the world. So here we are, we're in junior high school. And we're all prettied up, you know, because we had a 7th grade dance. And my wife selects not to dance with me. Well, you know, I'm Mr. Cool. I'm going to have my way. You don't ever refuse to dance with me. And she's wearing a pretty yellow dress. I mean, she's already fit for the kid. But yet she refuses to dance with me. So I can't handle this. So I go up to the punch bowl, get me a cup of purple punch. And I come back, and I take my cup of purple punch and
That's scary.
now, if you all knew my wife right now, if you saw my wife right now, do not mention this, because she don't like me telling her. But I doused her with a cup of purple punch. And ever since that day, things been going smooth. So, we have 5 children, 3 girls and 2 boys. My oldest daughter, in fact, all my kids graduated from Desert High School there. Because people used to call them military brats. You know how you call them? You know, military brats. My oldest daughter, she was a manager for Orbin. She graduated with her master's and everything from Cal State Bakersfield. My oldest son graduated from Cal State Bakersfield with a master's and everything. My oldest daughter is a counselor for the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. I mean, like making big money. And I gotta mention this, which I didn't mention before, because she don't like me telling it either. When she came out of college, she was so wrapped up in the woman thing that I thought that she would never get married. I said, woman, you're too perfect. Who wants a perfect wife? And especially someone that, you know, here she is, she's living in a condo apartment, and it's got a white rug on the floor. Now that tell, what does that tell you? In other words, I'm here, but I'm unwelcome. I mean, when I come into your house, I want to prop my feet up on your table. Dad, feet on the floor, please. I said, I gotta help get you married. And sure enough, we did. She finally married, and I think she was like 30. Just luckily, she met a gentleman at the University of Michigan who was a director of the dental department. And today, he's my son-in-law. Both of them make big money. And they're doing well. They got 2 girls. I have 11 grandkids. Oh, and 2 boys and 9 girls. Tony, it looks like I'm going to be walking the aisle for a long time. And then they said, well, you know, we can sort of, no, you do not try to equalize it. I mean, leave it be. I'll settle for the 9 girls and 2 boys. In other words, I don't need any more grandkids, you know. So now, me and my wife, we have set up a policy, Taylor. You know how you always send your grandkids birthday cards, etc.? Well, we don't do that. That's too customary. So what do? We go to the store, I mean not the store, to the bank, and we buy them a $50 money order. I mean not money order, savings bond. So every birthday, my grandkids gets a $50 savings bond. So now, what am I saying really? See,
that they have money for college.
you see, here you're thinking life.
They got money for college now.
There you go. See, you're thinking life. And if you make decisions for your children, you have to trust that the children will make decisions to benefit whatsoever they have. My son, who's my second oldest, he's a detective for the police department in Bakersfield. I mean, he's a drug person, you know, one of the, you see him like the AFTs and this type of stuff, you know. He's got his own car. You know, he drives it like it's his own. He's got all of this latest technology inside of his vehicle where they can spot this and pick up radio signals or telephone calls or whatever the case may be. My youngest son, who's my third oldest, is a Texas State Trooper. in Houston, Texas. Most of them are pretty bad boys. In fact, I refuse to go out on patrol with them when I go visit them in Texas. We go fishing, but I don't go on patrol duty with him because that's too dangerous for me. My second oldest daughter, she works for the Pinecrest School District over in Palmdale, and she's a divorcee, but she's doing good. My youngest daughter, 3 weeks ago, I just attended her graduation from the University of Albany, Georgia. She graduated with honors. She's a law enforcement was the career field. But she, under this particular career field, she was a criminalist. You know, like the coroner who goes out and sifting dead bodies to identify fingerprints, and eyeballs, and so forth. Well, anyway, she found out what a coroner does. So 2 years ago, we changed her major. And now, since she graduated, she'll most likely she's already filled out all the paperwork and everything, and her background security check for the state of Georgia. So she'll be going in as a counselor for the youth detention facilities for the whole state of Georgia. So in other words, she'll have an office, so if a youth prisoner feels, I got problems, I need to talk to my counselor, you know. So that's the way that works. But she's not going to get one. All right? So that's all settled for. And her husband, who she just got married to, he played tight end for the football team for the University of Orbin. He's 6'4", 260. Yeah, he's big. So I got to tell him, be careful where you sit when I'm around, because I don't want you sitting on me. So now, I graduated from high school after I entered the military. I did not complete high school. I left as a junior. How many juniors here? Is this all juniors? All juniors? No seniors? You're a senior? Do you feel all alone? You, senior? No. Junior. Those are good years, huh? Junior. Well, anyway, I completed high school when I was in the military. I also joined the University of Maryland. And I joined like five other buddies. You know what? After 1 year, I dropped out. My buddies continued. And you know, they used to come back and visit me, and here they were, majors, lieutenant colonels, etc. I have a friend of mine who's a lieutenant colonel who's dying of cancer in Georgia. And I'm hoping that I can go see him one day. But I have really loved the military. I had planned on going for 30 years, but I changed my mind because I had other things to do. I graduated from the Master's College up in Santa Clarita, from the school of the seminary. I have employed myself on many occasions on evangelistic trips for the Southern Baptist Convention. Right now, I'm scheduled to go to Africa, but I don't think I'll be going because I feel that I've been enough. I've been enough places. I'm also scheduled in October to go to Burma, a group of about 60 of them. But I won't go there because I'll need to stay home so I can take Tony's ankle because it's during the football season. Okay? So, I've said all that to say this, and before I continue, I'm going to ask if you have any questions over anything that I've said so far.
She's gone.
Who did? What? Oh, sorry.
How many years were you at Desert High for?
I was at, well, let's see, I retired from the Muroc Unified School District after 18 and a half years. I spent 22 and a half years in the military, got out. I helped the United States Air Force initiate the first B-1 bombers to Edwards Air Force Base. I completed that mission in 6 months. I left, and then that's when I went to work for the Muroc Unified School District. And I retired from there after 18 and a half years.
You're pretty old.
Giving you a hard time, Coach.
So, like I said, I've enjoyed it. Okay. No other questions? Any other questions?
Are you the coach here for the football team, or?
Sports medicine technician. You know, Tony goes down, I have to administer CPR. If he sprains the ankle, I have to tape his ankle. And I sort of sit around and watch to make sure Coach Travis's basketball team goes okay. Who's in it from track? Well, basketball, Taylor was basketball. Well, you basketball was track.
Golf.
Oh, golf. That's okay, I hear you. I hear you. What was that? Oh. Anything, any others?
Teddy's in basketball.
Who?
Teddy?
Yeah, I know. I can't go to Teddy.
He fell out of his chair.
Any other questions?
Poor Teddy.
When I joined the military, I selected back then, 1953, I was a military policeman. The reason why I wanted to be a military policeman, because I had a lot of friends of my older brother that I always looked up to. This one person was a military policeman. He was stationed at Colonel Air Force Base in Wichita, Kansas. And when I was 9 and 10 and used to spend the summers with my brother in Wichita, Kansas, he used to try to run me off the street. You know, get out here, you little bird here. You're supposed to be home. So, I remember that guy. I learned to like him a great deal. And I said right then and there, one of these days, I'm going to be just like him. So, later on, at 17, I joined the military. And right after I joined the military, 2 years later, I ended up working for this guy before he retired. I completed basic training at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas. I left there and I went to Louisiana, which I'd never been in Louisiana before, but I learned to love it. And then after that, I went through military police combat training, where you go out in the boonies and you stay like 2 weeks and you learn just about everything. How to fire the gun, how to sleep at night, how to have reveille, you know, things of that nature. I always used to be sharp. In fact, they used to give out 3-day passes on Saturday to the sharpest person doing the inspection. And I used to have passes just stacked up that I couldn't hardly use. One. And to complete, did I start this one? To complete this process, and I told you that I used to be almost a nobody because I wanted to do my own thing. And you couldn't tell me nothing. I was just that hard-headed. I wanted to do my own thing. And I can care less about it. And after I had been in the military all this time, I mean, I'm sitting there at that NCO club drinking my booze, and then this guy drinking with me on the side said, you know what, you don't have to do this. He said, you can make something out of your life. Now, no one had never told me what life was all about. So I went to the library and I mastered those 3 documents: the Collegiate Dictionary, the U.S. Constitution, and the Bible. In 1963, well, let's back up. 1962, you remember the President Kennedy with the Cuban crisis. I mean, I was packed. I was ready. And for 2 weeks, I stayed ready to go to Cuba. But luckily, I didn't go. I'd also prepared myself to go to the Suez Canal. And most of you probably have read about that. And when I came into the military, I came in at the conclusion of the Korean War. So I missed that. But the Vietnam War, which broke out in the 60s, I didn't escape. Because based on my training and my record of being an outstanding non-commissioned officer, I was selected by the President of the United States to serve as a group to go to Southeast Asia and change the face of the total war. I don't know if you remember or not. I know you don't remember, but if you've read about it, when the first United States forces were committed to Southeast Asia, they were not allowed live ammo. In 1964 and early 1965, we was losing a lot of military peace people in Southeast Asia because they didn't have no ammunition to defend themselves. So our mission was to change that whole program. And we had to create in the United States all the equipment and technology we needed in order to change the face of the war. I went through air commando training. Now, how many of you know what an air commando is? Huh? Kind of.
More to the Air Force with more training on the ground attack.
Yeah, like a guerrilla. You know, like a guerrilla. You know, how many of you seen the picture? Rambo, was it? You saw that? Now you got to understand, now Rambo was a movie. And certain things that made up Rambo, you might say was a little bit over-exaggerated. But air commando, the training that I had, you are a trained killer. And we went through training to prepare us for the trip to Southeast Asia and to eliminate the no-shoot policy. We entered training in Kansas. It was a total deserted base. There was nothing there, just a shell. But that's the type of situation we needed in order to be trained. During this training, we went through prisoner of war training. And as I told the class before, most of the stuff that I might hit on is very ugly. Through prisoner of war training and through air commando training, we are taught to recycle our body function. You are taught as to how to kill certain animals and snakes and things, and how to prepare them. You're taught to do anything that you need to do in order to survive. Now, it wasn't a matter of do you like it. I mean, do you like to eat snake? Or, you know, or do you like to eat rats?
Yeah.
Certain bugs? But that's what our training consisted of. And as I told the other class, through this training, you are held in a certain spot, you're blindfolded. Your hands are tied and your feet are tied. And you're sitting in one spot like for 2 or 3 weeks. You're not permitted to go to the bathroom. You're permitted to mess up yourself, in other words. You go through this screening process to make sure that you are the person who will be fit for the job that you're going to be doing. Because the overall objective of prison training, prisoner of war training, is to make sure you don't give up valuable information to your captors, or that the captors don't get valuable information out of it, because you won't break. And the first way they start you off is by standing you up and walking right up and spitting in your face. Now, what would you normally do if somebody walked up and spit in your face? Yeah, see, you just flunk. They send you back to the regular services. You don't deserve to go through this. They talk about your family. I mean, they call you all sorts of dogs. Kick you in the shin. They had a big trash barrel that was smeared with defecation. You got to go out there and keep your head in it for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, you go through all sorts of things. In the long run, everything you're going through, you're going to have to use it in order to stay alive. And there's your motivator. What would you be willing to do in order to stay alive? Yeah. So in 1965, we completed our training. And now we're on our way to South and North Vietnam. We're told, once we completed our training, we loaded up on the plane that's going to take us to California, and then from there to Okinawa, and then from there on into Saigon. We are told that our life expectancy is 97 seconds. Now, how would you feel? What would go through your mind? And if you knew, without a doubt, that you only had 97 seconds to live. Right away, your brain just starts racing backwards and forward to the point that in certain cases, it just blows a fuse. And a lot of people just don't make it, or they didn't make it. And then once we got to California now, we implemented the AC aircraft. We called them the Puff the Magic Dragons. We had AC aircraft, and we converted them. We took the doors off on both sides, and we mounted deadly machine guns on both sides. Open door in the bottom for flares. You can drop flares, can light up the sky at night. And all this pilot has to do is bank the airplane, punch a button, and you can just wipe out a whole street or a city. That's just how destructive it was. And that was our job, to get those particular gunships into Southeast Asia and change the course of the war in the sea. We got to Okinawa, we were told that you cannot land at Saigon at night, because since your mission is so secretive, you cannot land at night. You're going to have to do it in the daytime. Because we have all the enemy has sealed off the landing strip where you're going to land. And as soon as you get in sight, they're going to shoot you down. So we had to stop in Okinawa and stay overnight. Meantime, they brought the 5th Air Cavalry in, who cleared the whole perimeter to give us enough leeway to land. So the next day we landed. You can't come in like this and land, so we came in like this and landed. And when we got off of the airplane, we thought that we had feared everything so badly that we had sweat a great deal to the point where it was dripping off our seats. And little did most of us realize that it was urination. I mean, you're so scared that they scared out of you. Going into combat, no matter how good you might be, your whole body, your whole psychological outlook has to change. In other words, you die, but yet you're still living. And you probably, didn't they make a movie, The Walking Dead? Did you ever hear of that one? In order to be a good combat soldier, you are dead. But you're functioning as a machine. I was a platoon leader. I only went out at night. In the daytime, I had a secret hiding place. We could not be seen at night or in the daytime. And I had a lady and a bodyguard that took care of me. I slept with an M16 automatic rifle fully loaded under my mattress and a lone barrel 38 under my pillow. We knew the job that we have to do, and therefore nothing could disrupt us. I'm a signed assassin. I am a trained assassin. I could use a high-powered rifle with a scope on it. And I can assassinate a leader or any choicy person. No matter what distance. You can look at me now, you know, it's just like I've been resurrected. You notice I don't shake. I walked away from that battlefield with the help of a lot of them who couldn't walk away. And I have the mind and the functioning abilities that you recognize right now. But you're looking at a person who is not supposed to be. We experienced a lot of ugly things over there. And as I told the other classes before you, one of the things that I experienced that sticks out in my mind still today is the fact that at the end of a patrol pursuit, we found a hamlet that we thought was maybe a home, but later we found out it was a school. And it had 7 to 8 students, kids, 5, 6, and 7 years of age in it. And when we walked in, the teacher was already hung with her tongue cut. And the kids were sitting on the floor with their hands tied to their back and had bamboo stakes going from this ear and out this one. And all they could do was scream. And at that moment, I could see my children. What if somebody do this to one of mine? was an ugly sight. So that's just some of the things that we experienced. And I thank God that I was with a group of men who felt the same way I felt. And I'm going to say this. The spirit of a nation takes soldiers to combat. The spirit of a nation. If you're in combat without the spirit of a nation, you're dead dog. I mean, we made the sacrifices. We performed the duty. We loved the country. We were everything that you titled your program after on Wednesday night. We made the ultimate sacrifice. And I don't like saying it, but I told the other groups, war is hell. There's nothing good about it. And yet the United States has made it their business over the past 100 or 300 years. We have pursued peace. We have pursued happiness as a way of life. And we, as combat soldiers, whether we are dead or living today, we have made the sacrifice that you may be where you are right now. And the most important thing is not to abuse it. Don't abuse it. Stick with education, get what you got to get, and it has a lot to offer. Education itself will just guide you if you'll stay with it. And one day, you're going to have to make the sacrifice in order for your offspring or your relatives to live and enjoy the life that you are living right now. Because your life and opportunities have been paid for. There was a lot of us who didn't make it back. But I live every day for the ones that I know and many others like them who didn't make it back. And that group that you kept pointing to on the table, on the stage, I could see the faces of all of those who helped me. And I'm going to say this one, and I'm going to conclude with the gruesome part. I mean, on patrol, when we go on suicide missions, I mean, missions that you know, you got the feeling. You got the feeling within yourself that this might be my last. And as I prepare to go, I can feel a hot bullet racing through my heart. I already know what it's going to feel like when a bullet goes through my head. Nothing in war takes you by surprise. You already know. Because you're not human any longer. You are a machine that must make the sacrifice. Because you've already been triggered to go and to die for your country. And if you get back, more glory to you. But your job is to make the sacrifice. And this country has made a lot of it, and will continue to make a lot. But being on patrol, and this is a grueling. I mean, you're walking alone, and you've got 5 people behind And all of a sudden you look up and you don't see but just one. You say, what happened? They fell into a pit, which is a booby trap. It was covered over with green branches. And inside of this pit, there are sharpened bamboo stakes 6 feet along or taller. And when you fall in there, those stakes go right through your body. Except this time I looked in and one had came up through the rear end of one of the guys all the way up and out of his neck like this. What can you do in a situation like that? Nothing. I mean, you see the blood life of this individual dripping out and going into soil that he don't even know anything about. And as they die, you got to rip their dog tags off. Because I have to give an account of his whereabouts. Because this dog tag must be told to a family somewhere in the United States that I have never seen before, nor do I know where he lives. But there had to be a family to bring this person to this particular place to suffer what I see him suffering right now. Do you have any questions? Getting tired. Oh,
Did you get injured at all through your time in the military?
you have to be careful. You know, when you go out, you got to have a claymore mine before you even cross a certain area. You got to have a sweeper. Sometimes sweepers don't work. Or that little one iota of dirt you didn't cover. Sometimes you step on it. Or it could be a grenade that's triggered. And one of the things we had to be on the alert about, you're going through the jungles and they're very thick. And we called it piano wire. And a piano wire can hit you in the throat and can sever your head off without you even letting out a scream. As I mentioned to the first class, which I didn't mention to the second class because I don't like telling it, you had people. We encountered people who were booby trapped. You go up and you move a body, and that body is holding down the pin of a grenade. As soon as you move the body, the grenade explodes. I saw people with booby traps in their rectums or in their vagina. They were sacrificed for just that one thing to come in and get 4 or 5 of them. There were bananas. This booby trap. Is that fly booby trap? I mean, bicycles. I mean, it wasn't a peaceful, good-looking thing of beauty. It was really ugly. And that's why you find a lot of us don't like to talk about it. You don't find us on the street corners downtown waving a flag, you know. flag we waved was that one. And now, since we've gone through so much, we like to try to put it behind us and keep it behind us and go on with the life that you now see us live. Because it wasn't easy coming back into a society that you was born and raised up in. And you went off to do an awesome chore for the society, and now you're back and you feel like I'm a stranger. I feel like a man of no land. You know? But to be honest with you, I live off of people. Because I know that is my purpose. All my living right now is for you, meaning the country. And if I see something going on that I know is not the country, I am willing to make another sacrifice. There's no way I would have stood by and watched outstanding athletes kick another student in the head until he's dead. There's no way. But we have people living in this land that we fought and died for, who still do not know what living is all about, nor how to live. Living for me means that I want her to live, not me. I'll do anything I have to in order for her to live. You don't find that type of love in our country. And what little we have is in short supply. I mean, it's not big. And when I was in Southeast Asia in combat, there were times when I knew that I was a goner. And the only thoughts that came to my mind and my heart was, oh, if I could just see my mother again and eat her bread. And when I came back, I kissed the soil. Because I was glad to be there. And as I've said, because these experiences stand out in my mind. When I got back to the United States, I wanted nothing but a loaf of white bread. I mean, if I could just get a loaf of white bread, my whole body was just yearning for a loaf of bread. And I was sitting in this bus station eating this bread. I mean, people just coming by like flies. I mean, you know, looking at me, wondering, why is this fool sitting there eating a loaf of bread in public like this? Well, only if they knew where this fool had been and what this fool had done, and what this fool appreciated being where he was right now, they would understand. You don't care. I've done it. I've escaped. And here I am. And I'm just sitting here smiling and loving every moment. And I don't blame anybody. I was highly recruited by the Black Panthers before I went to combat in Southeast Asia. And one of the things that's on my list when I got back, I'm going to visit Berkeley University. And I did. And what I witnessed at Berkeley was the same philosophy, same attitudes, same hatred, same I don't give a hoot, and I don't care beans about the country in which I live, even though I'm living in it. Well, I just had went up against that in Southeast Asia. That's what we had fought and died for in Southeast Asia. Men not wearing underwear, women not wearing underwear and bras. You see, at that time, we were going through the death of a nation. And the sacrifices that we made changed the course of history. No telling where we might have been today. If the ideal of those who thought they were in control of the United States' destiny at that time, if they could have succeeded, no telling what would have happened today. But little did they realize that their whole objective had been defeated. And we refer to the term as what? Communism. It's been defeated. And if we hadn't made the decisions and achieved the objectives that we achieved in the 60s and later on in the 70s, no telling what could have happened. It has changed. Now we no longer make nuclear weapons. The Berlin Wall caved. Communism has suffered a major blow all throughout the world. We have achieved more objectives like in outer space. We've created new medicines, etc., for mankind. I mean, a lot of things was hinging on what we went through in Southeast Asia. The United States needed a change. And in that change, we brought correction against misuse of power, like the Watergates. I mean, we've had a lot of things happen, and a lot of things will change. Now, do you have any questions? We're almost finished, aren't we?
Our class has something for you.
His class? Well, what are they going to do? Oh, that's okay. They don't want to listen to me no more. Any questions?
How long were you stationed out there in the war?
Like in Vietnam, I was there for 11 months and 23 days. 11 months and 23 days. We never took showers. We never shaved. We could not use any type of deodorants. You couldn't smoke cigarettes. Not in the war actions that I was in. Because the enemy could smell. They could smell perfumes. They could smell cigarette odor. Or they could smell body odors. And a lot of times we were within 10 feet of each other and couldn't detect each other. I mean, if you got no place to hide, and yet you know you're being swarmed, and the only thing you have left between life or death is to bury yourself under dirt with a straw to breathe through, or to crawl in some water and immerse your body with a straw. And you got to make a choice. I mean, do I let the king cobra get me? Or do I let a bullet get me? And it's not fun when you're within 6 feet of a king cobra. And you can't move. And when you move and you can look down, you can see a total wet outline of your body on the dirt. And I carried a machete. I also carried an M79 grenade launcher that I was very good at. In fact, I was the only one that had it because I was the only one that could use it. I was the only one that knew how to use it. So everything that I knew, I wanted it with me.
The stuff that you were trained to learn back then, do you think you remember most of them today? Like,
Yeah, I would remember most of it. The only thing that's changed is my aging process and my lack of ability to endure for a long time. Those are about the only things that has changed. I think I can still shoot just as accurate as I used to, although my eyesight and everything has changed tremendously. Right now I'm almost blind in my left eye because I was a left-handed shooter, like so. And powder burns. Every round you fire, it comes back, kicks you in the eyeball. So I don't think my heart could probably take it. Mind-wise, I might be able to survive. But I wouldn't want to go through. I went through this when I was like 30, and right now I'm 67. There's been a lot. I have survived cancer. We had an Agent Orange over there. There was a cancer-producing agent, and most of us didn't know anything about it. We used to spray it on the foliage, to kill the green foliage so we could see who's hiding, things of that nature. But little did we realize, because in the government briefings and in packages that accompanied all of this stuff, they never tell you. Because that's just one of the built-in devices. Like I said, you are here at the expense of what you need. We're not going to give any credit or notoriety to you personally, because you're not a person. You're not a person. Any other questions? But anyway, Agent Orange is a cancer-producing agent, and you catch it, it goes into your blood level, and it can stay like for 15, 20, or 25 years before it come out on you. I mean, you suffer general rot. I've had general rot so badly that my whole body leaked. Just leaked. And you got to constantly take showers and take medicine as the doctor would give you until all of it's gone. And right now, mine is all gone, except just a little bit every now and then. If I can get in a heated up situation, and you can feel it sort of creeping out. But it's severe. And the uniforms we wore, like our shoes, I wore combat boots that never had to be changed. And I wore them like for 2 or 3 months. You never took your shoes off. And once I was forced to take a shoe off, and you take off part of the bottom of your foot because it has sealed socks, insole, everything has just sort of become one. And the best way you overcome that through training, they told us, is to you soak your feet in the boot in water. Just leave it for 2 or 3 hours in the water until everything's, so you know the skin on your foot, if you leave it in water for a long time, it turns a little whitish. Things like that. So we were trained how to do all of that. But like I said, certain times, you know, we just don't, we weren't running water. And the monsoon seasons we went through, oh, it's such a lovely feeling because it drenches and washes your whole body and you got all your clothes on. And as soon as the last raindrop falls, 30 minutes to an hour later, you just bone dry. You know, because everything you got on is jungle wear. It's real light and yet protected. Even mosquitoes wouldn't bite you. And we couldn't use skeeter pellets, and that's how it goes, because that's a smelling thing too. It was really beautiful. The country itself was just absolutely beautiful. And you wonder why, in a terrain like this, there's so much ugliness, and there's so much smell of blood. The fruits on the tree, just tremendous. And snakes were just beautiful because all, just like as if they were human. Well educated. Rats were huge. We ate mostly sea rations. You had to carry everything in your backpack that you can possibly need. And then when that runs out, if your radio is working, you call in for food drops. And most of the times you wouldn't get the food just dropped because the wind would carry it into the hands of the enemies to, you know, you get. So, but most of us survived. But it's not a good sight when you got a leg, you got one of you guys with a leg blown off the mortar around. So any other? Oh, excuse me. Oh, that's the table.
When like a guy had like his leg cut off or something, did you tag along or did you guys just?
No. Whenever we got wounded to the point where you cannot go, or you become a massive burden on the ones who are still trying to go forward, we all hold. You hold your position. You call, and we had a. Didn't I mention you said you had a relative that operated a rescue helicopter? Who was that? Was it Ms. Bryant?
I think it was. We were talking to.
We had some rescue helicopters with the big old Red Cross insignia on them. So we call them in, and they could be coming off. They could come off the ship, so they can be coming from a safe landing zone where they were held, waiting. And they would come and they'd pick up the people after they ID them or whatever, and then take them out. And we got to surround. We got to set up a perimeter around where the helicopter is going to land, so nothing can happen. A lot of our aircraft and helicopters would go down. You go to the site where it went down, you wouldn't find hardly a boat. Everything was just vanished. Senator John McCain and I was over at the same, we were at the same time, but in different areas. He was a pilot, and I was on the ground. There were many times we'd call in B-52 strikes, and we'd give a grid coordinates, and sometimes we'd do a little haze. The guy that's calling the grid coordinates would do a little haze. He might get one fraction of a number mixed up. So the pilot is dropping the bombs from the B-52s. He dropped them too close and wiped out a lot of us, you know, things like that. So you had all sorts of things going on. There was many ways that you can be taken out. Like I mentioned, even the insects, things like that, they could take you out. Any others?
Did you know anybody that that was captured and made it? have anybody that?
Oh, yeah, well, let me give you this information. When I left the United States, in my group alone, it was 467 of us. We were all air commandos, trained killers. The rank of the people, even though you wouldn't know it by looking at us, because we all looked the same, dressed the same, in other words, in dress. A lot of them was lieutenant colonels, majors, lieutenants, captains, key NCOs like myself. Most of those people that I left the United States with, 467, 67 of us that I found out 2 years later made it back out of that group, and I was one of them. So, most of them were captured. Most of them, I went to the wall. How many of you saw the wall when it was here? Did any of you see that? Okay. I went to the wall and looked, and that most of them, their names are. And you know, even though I went and looked at the wall, looking for names that I was familiar with, because you pull them up on the computer. You can go back and find a copy of orders, and it consists of like 2 pages with everybody running like 8, whatever. Even though I was there looking at the wall, I felt like I was looking for my name. I mean, I was just that close to what was there. There are times I feel like I'm not here. When you go into that type of environment, it was an environment that would kill you. You could feel your whole body change. And at night, it was so beautiful. I mean, you look like the Big Dipper, the stars and everything are right here. I can just reach out and get it. I mean, it's something. It's just like being in the end of a world that's no longer a world. I mean, it was just downright weird. And yet, on the other hand, it was just downright lovely. And I wish that maybe if I had time just to sit and smell the flowers, you know. Any other questions? When I came back to the United States, I wanted to visit most of our veteran hospitals. If you're growing up, after you finish all your school, if you can go into Seattle, Washington, and visit the Veterans Hospital. We have a lot of veterans there that's been there. Don't have nowhere else to go. We have veteran hospitals throughout the whole United States. And right now, I'm hoping that they can hurry up and build a veterans home out here, because one day I might need it. You know, when it comes time for me to be an old soldier, you know, I wouldn't mind having an old soldiers home. I would like to just die with glory. At least being in something that I have, or being connected with something that I have given my life for. And it has become such a part of me that I cannot shake it. And today I'm very thankful, because a lot of my comrades, they came back, they didn't have no mind. They don't have the heart to deal with what you have to deal with. A lot of them came back maimed, no legs, no arms. Maybe the whole half of the head's gone. Now they got a plate in it. They can't not go through metal detectors at the airport without showing a badge. It's all sorts of things.
Did you ever get any medals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned to the class the other day, you know, we didn't glory in medals. That was something that the country did for us. It's nothing I require of the country. If you want to recognize me in such a fashion, that's okay. I mean, but I'm not bothered for it. Because the medal that I've received, you know, you can't replace it. You know, the gift of me going and doing what I did in order that the country may remain in a gifty state. That's the gift. And when you read my headstone, I mean, that's the way it'll be. And right now my family is debating whether they should bury me in a cemetery where they can visit me like maybe once a year, or they can bring the grandkids and the great-grandkids and say, this is, you know, that type of stuff. Or should we bury you in Arlington? And if I had anything to say over it, even though I haven't told them, I'd rather be buried in Arlington. But realize that there one day my great-grandkids or great-great-grandkids will not have the opportunity nor the financial capability to go visit my gravesite in Arlington. So you can bury me wherever you want to. Whatever would appease the family, go ahead and do it. Because you can't bother me one way or the other. Once I've finished the course that I'm in right now, there's nothing else left. And I just want to be a person to enjoy that satisfaction to say I completed. And I don't want to have to leave here and say I left so much undone, you know, with that undone feeling. You know. So I appreciate it. I'm not bitter. I don't have a bitter streak in my body right now. You can call me, you can do anything you want. Because I'm a firm believer that if you kill me, you can't eat me. I don't think you want to eat me. Any other questions? That fly's something else, huh? He's probably looking for me. You steal mine, and anytime you want to come back, the door's open. But you come back with some change added. And I remember my youngest son, he was hooked on marijuana when he was like 14, 15. And my wife put him out of the house, and he slept in the street for 3 weeks. We got clearance from the police department that our youngest son's going to be sleeping in a parked car that won't run in the street. He was allowed to come in the house to brush his teeth, comb his hair, and use the bathroom. And if I catch you in the house doing something other than that, we extend it till 3 weeks to 4. And right now, he thanks me for me and his mother, you know, for standing by. He considered that to stand by me, you know. You know that song, Stand By Me, Love, or something like that, you know. But today, he's a whole new person. And he wants the best for his kids. And he don't want anything that he doesn't like, or what his dad and mother didn't instill in him. He don't want to see it, not in the same fashion in his own kids. And that's a big goal. And one day you're gonna have to make those decisions. I mean, when Tony's football days are over, now he's gonna settle down and live. When his 3s are finished, with maybe the Portland Trailblazers, who will most likely beat the Lakers. Okay, any other questions? Well, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to thank you all personally, and I just wish everybody could come by and thank you all the same way. But Mrs. Bryant asked me, said, I was telling about how well the program was, and the teacher, I said, whoa, what happened? I mean, you didn't hear anything but good comments on behalf of you as classes and your teacher. Like, this is the first time, and I believe you are the first school in the whole United States that has done it. I don't know about in the state of California, but I do believe, because I've questioned a lot of people since Wednesday, I do believe you're the first class of group of young people that has done this at a high school. Well, maybe some community group organizing something like this, but not a high school as a class project. What a class project. So, thank you once again. Somebody jumped on me.
I was gonna tell you, I forgot about the fact that 3 of your softball players is in like that.
Softball?
Lacey and Lindsay. So they're in that class.
Oh, wow.
So if you wanted to have, I was just
Are
ready
you
about
ready? When is,
hiring me out.
The volley.
who said that?
The volley.
Oh, I thought that was a casket.